Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and today I am happy to bring you my Week 6 game from the Pokemon Premier League, the PPL. Very exciting stuff. Going into this game, I was top of the table, somehow. 4 wins and just the 1 loss. A position I never expected to find myself in. Now, was I top? I might have been 3rd based on KO difference. I think I was top though. Anyway, my game. Now, Week 6, I was up against Teddington Teddiursas, led by Ellie. Now, Ellie is a very good friend of mine. Her links will be down in the description below. Definitely make sure you do go and check them out. You'll be able to see all her fantastic content, including her side of this game, and all her other videos, which are fantastic. Now, Ellie's team, the Teddington Teddiursas, were doing fairly well. You know, sort of mid-table range, I believe, was their position going into this game. Now, the team themselves, it's a scary team she's got. I'm going to go through the team, the squad, the Teddington Teddiursas squad at the time. So, Heatran, Mega-Venusaur, Milotic, Electros, Darmanitan, Togekiss, Frostlass, Heracross, Granbull, and Seismitoad. That was the squad, and it was terrifying. Because I'm starting to realise that when I was drafting, and it was a learning curve for me because it was my first time doing anything like that, I sort of went with the bulk I knew how to use without really first seeing how well they gelled as a unit. So there are a lot of things that my defensive core, very good individually as they are, doesn't deal with very well. One is Quake Edge and one is Fire. And Ellie has Darmanitan, which was terrifying. I had so little on my team that could effectively deal with Darmanitan. But, you know, I gave it my best, and so let's take a look at the team that I decided to bring. So, first up, I did go with Whimsicott. So I had to bring back Whimsicott, and this was really mainly here for the Milotic. It can deal with a fair amount of others. It was timid with special attack and speed investment. Encore, Giga Drain, Psychic, and Sub were the moves. Sub, very nice to scout out opponents' movesets. And you know, Sub and Encore were my way of getting around Milotic having both Mirror Coat and Magic Coat. So I could set up a Sub, hopefully, you know, deal with it from there. And you know, Psychic on there just in case you decide to bring Mega-Venusaur. Now, I did my thing that I do again. I zoned in on one specific Pokemon. I zoned in on Mega-Venusaur because I had very little to deal with it effectively. But my squad has like 4 Psychic types. So really, I should have been thinking that she might not bring Mega-Venusaur at all. Because I've got so many Psychic types that can deal with it, but I still zoned in and thought she would. On that note, my second member of the team was Registeel. I bought Specially Defensive with the safety goggles, in case of that sleep powder, and we've got Iron Head, Toxic Thunder Wave, and Stealth Rock. Very standard kind of Registeel that I've bought before. You know, it can take hits really well, even like a Hidden Power Ground from a Venusaur isn't going to be doing that much. And especially defensively, it can take a lot of hits. I was hoping it could take on the Electros and maybe get Toxic off on that. And you know, Togekiss wouldn't be able to deal with it very effectively either. So third member of the team is Dusclops. I decided to bring Dusclops. This was a fully physically defensive set, max HP, max defense. I believe it was a relaxed nature. In fact, actually, there was a slight issue with the genning. It was actually a bowls nature, so up defense minus attack. But I still brought Earthquake. I think I brought Pain Split, Toxic, and Willow. On that, it was just another status. Once again, I liked the idea of status against Ellie's team. It was going to be very important. But Dusclops also had one other very important role because its ability was Frisk. Dusclops' role was to find the Scarfer. Because Ellie had, you know, Heatran can be Scarfed. Darm, obviously, is a potential Scarfer. Heracross is a potential Scarfer. Togekiss is a potential Scarfer. Frostlass is a potential Scarfer. So many options for her to go Scarfed, and I really needed to find out which one or more was or were the Scarfer or Scarfers, because I then had a plan to deal with it once I had sort of seen which one was the Scarf. So, moving on, I also decided to bring my fourth member, Zapdos. This is a Choice Scarf, Zapdos, Hasty Nature, 8 in attack, 248 special attack, 252 speed. I'm looking over sort of to the side of the screen because that's where my lineup is. And I went with Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Drill Peck, and Hidden Power Grass. Drill Peck there for the Heracross, in case she decided to bring an AV Heracross. Air Cutter wouldn't have been cutting it, for want of a better pun. So Drill Peck was always going to put the beat down on Heracross. Obviously Thunderbolt and Volt Switch very standard on an electric type Scarfer. Hidden Power Grass, nice to hit the Seismitoad if she decided to bring it. So, 5th member of the team was going to be Gyarados. Now, I had absolutely no option but to bring physically defensive Gyarados with Intimidate. I had to, because it's just my only proper answer to that Darmanitan. So I was rocking Waterfall, Bounce, Taunt and Thunderwave. Bounce in case she decided to bring the Venusaur. It was worth it. It was worth it in case she decided to bring Venusaur, because otherwise Venusaur would have destroyed Gyarados. I did put 248 in HP, 248 in defense, and 12 in speed to try and speed creep said Venusaur, get the Taunt off, maybe the Thunderwave, and start hitting it with Bounce. Waterfall, just its standard stab move. And finally, I decided to bring Gallade. Mega-Gallade was back, Jolly Nature, attack and speed, as you would expect, rocking Close Combat, Zen Headbutt, Poison Jab, and Swords Dance. That kind of move spread would really put the hurt on a lot of Ellie's squad. Swords Dance Gallade is terrifying because it can just 2-hit KO most things. And I was torn, do I run Swords Dance or do I run the priority of Shadow Sneak? Went with Swords Dance because the power was going to be very helpful. Now, let's take a look at Ellie's team and see how well we stack up. So she decided to bring, from left to right across the screen, Electros, Heatran, Heracross, Darmanitan, Granbull, and Seismitoad. Now, the Darmanitan is a problem. As I said, my plan was to find the Scarfer and continue from there, maybe try and take it out or cripple it with Thunderwave. I had a couple of things with Thunderwave. Did I have a couple of things with Thunderwave? I did have a couple of things with Thunderwave. And I assumed the Scarfer would be the Darm. Reason being, if Darm isn't Scarfed, it doesn't outspeed Mega-Gallade. And Ellie needs to outspeed Mega-Gallade. Because Mega-Gallade, if she doesn't have a Scarfer to outspeed the Mega-Gallade, it wrecks her, basically. And I assumed it was going to be the Darm. That seems like the thinking man or woman's choice of Scarfer. You know, the others, I felt I could deal with them a little bit well. I thought I'd be able to. Because she didn't bring the Venusaur, which is nice, that was away from my mind. She didn't bring the Milotic, which was really good because it means no mirror coating shenanigans on my Zapdos, which can't take it out with the investment that I have. So I was thinking, you know, this could go well. This could go well. So, without any further ado, that's the team breakdown sorted out. You know my plan going into this. Find the Scarfer, Thunderwave it, and try and sweep with Mega-Gallade. That was the plan. Let's get into the battle and see if that's how things played out. Okay, here we go, getting into the battle against Ellie. She's issuing the challenge. I lead with my Whimsicott, predicting her to lead off with her Seismitoad, which is a really nice lead for her, generally can get up rocks and do nasty things, and that's exactly what happens. Now she is actually packing the poison type move, but she doesn't want to go for it here. I predict her to go into Heatran, which is a really nice switch in on Whimsicott, so I'm going to go into Gallade, predicting that. And you know, that's exactly what happens. She does go into her Potato, that is her Heatran. And you know, this is a fantastic lead for me. I'm really happy with how things are going because it's basically a free Mega Evolution. She doesn't want to take the damage. She's going to go into her Seismitoad once again. This is a defensive set. And taking the risk that I might be running Leaf Blade, I'm not. She's going to bring in, as I say, the Seismitoad. I get my Mega Evolution off with Gallade and I'm going to go for Close Combat. Now, the problem with this Close Combat is I get a horrifically low damage roll. Like, so low. And the problem with that is it's so low that it's at the point where after lefties, I don't know if I can 2-hit KO. I normally would be able to if I got a decent roll, but I didn't, and I don't want to take a scald, especially not at -1 with the possibility of a burn. So, going to go back out into my Whimsicott, and what this allows Ellie to do is get up her Stealth Rocks. Neither of us are packing Default, they're there to stay, and I have 2 flying types, one of which needs to take on a Darmanitan. So we're not looking in too good of a position here. So Ellie obviously doesn't want to be taking a Giga Drain. She's going to go into her Universal Whimsicott switch in, which is of course her Heatran. I have absolutely nothing to do to a Heatran. I am going to go for the Giga Drain, you know, not over predicting, and it does sort of like 3 damage maybe. Here, going to go for the sub, just to try and scout this Heatran out. I want to try and find out what kind of set we're working with here. I don't see Leftovers, I don't see Air Balloon. It's possibly an offensive set. She's going for Lava Plume. At this point, I'm leaning towards it being an AV. I also had in the back of my mind that it could be Chockleberry, to try and deal with Gallade a bit better and maybe get a Willow off. But I was leaning more towards the idea of it being an Assault Vest set, so I thought it would be sort of max HP, max special attack deal going on there. So, I'm going to go into Gyarados, which I know is a risk because I do need it for the Darm, but I didn't fear this Heatran. You know, Lava Plume, not going to be doing an enormous amount. If it gets the burn, it's not the end of the world, because Darm's pretty frail. However, Ellie, at this point, reveals her genius. She is Speed Crept, a defensive Gyarados, and she packs the Hidden Power Electric. And that's the end of Gyarados, and now I'm starting to panic, because I have nothing for her Darmanitan. I'm going to go into Gallade. I really have to. She's going to withdraw her Heatran, go into her Seismitoad kind of as fodder here, because it's done its job, it's got up rocks, and it's, you know, done what it needed to do. And as you can see here, it does survive a close combat, which is, you know, if I'd have got a more of a damage roll on the first time I hit it, this thing might not be alive, but, you know, that's just the thing with hindsight. You see what might have been. Anyway, point is, I do get to take out the Seismitoad with another close combat, so Mega-Gallade notching himself his first KO of the game, and his first in a while. Of course, every time this happens, it's just a free switch into her Darmanitan, and I no longer have anything for it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Dusclops. Now, the way she brought it in, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a Scarf set, but I lose nothing by frisking it and seeing and making sure. Turns out it is Scarfed, and she's going to go for the Flare Blitz. This is a max HP, max defense, positive nature, Dusclops with a Violet, and that just does so much damage. So much damage, and I have nothing for this at all. And because I have so little HP, like base HP, Dom's taking so little recoil, it's just not working for me at the moment. And I really need to try and get myself back on track. So, going to go into Zapdos, my own Scarfer, who does outspeed this Darm. So I know I can threaten it out, and hopefully I can try and find an opportunity to set up my rocks, which are really going to help against this Darm constantly switching in and out. In comes RhyQuinn, brilliant name by the way, on the Electros. I'm going to go for the Volt Switch. Thunderbolt, you know, I'm still not sure if it would have taken out the Darm from there anyway, but as it is, of course, she switches out. And I want to get the initiative, so I'm going to go into my Registeel, knowing I can pretty much take any hit from an Electros. So, I do outspeed, which is funny. Gonna go for my rocks, and that's fantastic. They're there to stay. Darm is not going to be enjoying taking those every time it switches in. So, Ellie going to go for the Volt Switch with her Electros, going to switch right the hell on out, and going to MVP her Heracross. Now, I know that she could bring double Scarfers. It wouldn't be the first time she has, I think, but she reveals herself to be Leftovers. She later told me this was Sub-Swords Dance, I believe, which is terrifying on a Heracross. So, I'm going to switch out and go into my Whimsicott. Pretty certain she's going to go straight up for the close combat. She basically has no reason not to. But, you know, Whimsicott's bulkier physically than people give it credit for. I take that from you know, that's a stab close combat from a Heracross. I take it because, you know, Whimsicott neutrally taps out at 105 in defense at level 50, so that's not so bad. Now, Whimsicott pretty much is not going to be of that much use anymore this game. And I do want damage on this Heracross if I can. But, you know, Ellie has a switch in for this Whimsicott. She has no reason not to go into Heatran, as I reveal that I am, in fact, packing the Psychic on this turn. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but there it is. There's the Psychic. Going to go for it on the Heatran. It's going to do the square root of bugger all. That was a crit, and gets the special defense drop, confirming in my mind that this is an Assault Vest set. She later told me that it is an Assault Vest Heatran. So, you know, for a show, just going to go for the Giga Drain. I don't see much more of a use for Whimsicott at this point. Go for the Giga Drain. Obviously, it's going to do so little damage to this Heatran. And she's going to be able to take me out with a Lava Plume. Her Heatran's been putting in the finest of work this game. That, I think, is its second KO which is lovely for Heatran, not quite so lovely for me. So I have to go into my Gallade, and at this point I believe she is going to just let her Heatran go. It's done the job she needed it to. It took out Gyarados, it's taken out Whimsicott, and it's just basically proved itself to be an utter nuisance to my team. So I do go for close combat and take out the Heatran. But as I've said, every time Gallade nets a KO, it's just a free switch in for her Darm. But now there are rocks on the field, so I'm thinking there might be a way back into this. I'm very much on the defensive, but there might be a way back. So I go into my Registeel, and this is a sack job. You know, I have to sack off Registeel here. She's going to go for the Flare Blitz, which is, you know, it's going to decimate Registeel at this point. Especially defensive Registeel is not taking that hit. Not in a million years. So Darm takes the recoil, and now it is just Mega-Gallade and Zapdos versus the world. I go into Zapdos, and she has to maintain her Darm. She has to. It's completely and utterly her win condition at this point. At least it was in my mind. So I know she's going to switch out. I know she's going to go into her Electros. So I am just going to go for the Volt Switch, you know. I see no reason not to. Just go for the Volt Switch. It would have taken out Darm from there, I think. And what it allows me to do is get a free switch into my Mega-Gallade on whatever she decides to bring in. That, of course, is the Electros. I go into Mega-Gallade, and I'm just going to fire for close combat. Once again, I have absolutely no reason not to. So, in comes the close combat. That's going to take out the Electros, and that's a third KO for Gallade, which on a personal level is very nice, but we're still looking in a bit of a bad position. So, once again, I know in is coming that Darm. And if I had Shadow Sneak, this would be fine, but of course I don't. Now, here's my plan. I feel like Gallade is going to be better against her last two Mons than a Scarf Zapdos. So my plan, bring in Scarf Zapdos, let it die to a Flare Blitz, let Darm die to the recoil, and then that gives Gallade a fighting chance against her last two, which are Heracross and Granbull. It seems to be working out. She goes for the Flare Blitz. Down goes Zapdos. So it's going to be taken out by the recoil, except it is not, because Ellie, of all things, is running HP investment on Darm, and she lives with like 3 HP, and that's nail in the coffin, you know, because she outspeeds, she's Scarf, she's going to go for the Flare Blitz. Gallade isn't taking it. Gallade is absolutely not taking that. And down goes Mega-Gallade, so, you know, obviously Darm eventually does go down to the recoil. But at the end of the day, that is going to be our second loss of the season to Ellie. So, that was the game. Really great game, Ellie, as ever. All my games against Ellie, they're always fantastically good fun. And I think they're pretty good from a neutral viewership point as well. She's a fantastic player, and she did, on the day, she just outplayed me, you know. The Heatran taking out Gyarados was crucial. She knew what she needed to do to win. She knew I was going to bring that Gyarados, and she knew she had to take it out. And she had just the one to do that I wasn't expecting to be the one that would, you know. So, you know, Ellie managed to play around me very well, basically. Saved her Darm for when it was necessary, had the right investment, and, you know, that was how things played out. When it comes down to it, if she hadn't had HP investment on the Darm, it would have come down to Mega-Gallade versus Heracross and Granbull. The Granbull was Intimidate, max HP, max defense, with, is it a Kebia Berry, the one that weakens poison type moves, and I would have gone for Poison Jab. And I think with that combination it would have done a grand total of like 19% to Granbull. Whereas, you know, she's got Play Rough, even if it's defensive, Gallade's not taking many of them. Hello, that says something, let's go away. Something just popped up on my screen, I'm very sorry. You might have seen it, but you might not. But anyway, as I say, that is going to be it from this video. A 2-0 loss to an incredibly worthy opponent in the form of Ellie and her Teddington Teddiursa. Her links, of course, will be in the description down below. Do make sure you go and check out her channel. As I've said before, she's a great friend of mine. She's a fantastic battler. You'll be able to see her side of this battle, as well as all her other videos. PPL links, they will be down in the description as well. If you want to keep up to date with all things PPL, make sure you go and check out the Twitter link and the YouTube channel. You'll be able to watch all the Meet the Manager videos, as well as catch up on the playlists of past week's games. So, we have our second loss of the season. We are at 4-2. I believe that places us third in the table. So really, we can't afford to lose any more games. If we want to win this championship, we can't afford to lose any more games. This is not going to be easy, because my next game is against Borussia Doublade and Fredford. And his team is the most terrifying team I've ever seen, I think. His squad is ridiculous. Mega Morwell, Curan Black, Feraligatr. Go away. I don't want to change the colour scheme. As I said, he's got those three, and he recently picked up Landorus Incarnate, which is terrifying. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. We'll have to see what maybe I'll do in the transfer window, which is coming up as well. But as I say, that is going to be it from me and this video. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed. Keep supporting Parasect Germain, guys. We're still going for the top. But I guess, until next time, laters.